Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. Here's a headline from the Crypto Basic. Deaton anticipates XRP price at $10 following lawsuit victory. And based on what Attorney Deaton actually said pertaining to price, that's not the headline I would have gone with. But I'll tell you this. This has inspired me to expand upon something that I briefly mentioned in a video yesterday. I mentioned in a video yesterday that perhaps it's the case that when it comes to XRP price action, maybe I'm just not thinking big enough. And specifically, I was talking about, not long term. I mean, I can only imagine if XRP really is going to make it and it's still here like a decade or two or three from now. Whew doggy. I would imagine if it's going to have that kind of staying power, it would just have some ungodly price compared to where it is now. Because I think it's either that or it goes to zero. I don't think there's much room for in between. If any, probably not. But what I was actually talking about when I said maybe I'm not thinking big enough, and this is why I want to expand upon because I've never explained what I meant by this before, but what I was talking about is expectations for XRP price in the pretty damn short term. Specifically, what's going to happen to the price of XRP if we get a positive ruling for XRP holders specifically, even if Ripple technically loses, but if we get a positive ruling for XRP holders that inspires confidence in global XRP markets, what would that mean? Like, what would that actually put us at? And I'm not going to pretend to know what that number would be. I'm not going to make a price prediction. And I also acknowledge we could get bad news, in which case the price of XRP could go down. I'm optimistic for a lot of reasons. I think that what's most probable is we are going to have good news once Judge Torres rules regarding the summary judgment motions. And what I am expecting, and it's just a guess, but I think that it's going to be positive, resulting in XRP price going up. But I spent some time thinking about it today, and I'll share with you. Let's just get out of the answer here. Before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so let's go through this piece having to do with attorney John Deaton. XRP advocate John Deaton suggests XRP could hit an all-time high of $10 following the lawsuit against the SEC addressing the FOMO phenomenon among investors. In a recent interview, renowned lawyer and advocate for XRP John Deaton shared his insights on the future of the digital assets price chart, possibly hitting $10 in the wake of the concluding suit against the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, Deaton pondered the behavior of investors who criticized XRP when priced at 48 cents, but would eagerly purchase it when the value climbs to $1 or higher. He suggested that there might be a fear of missing out phenomenon among such individuals. Yeah, so let's pause and note, that's definitely true. It's like, crypto and stocks are about the only things that when they go on sale, people just don't want anymore. Isn't that something? It's about the only thing on the planet goes on sale, like, yeah, I want it when it's worth more. And in fact, here, take a look at this, actually. There was this, I just thought this was some good perspective from the Flare community Twitter account. Also has a fantastic YouTube channel covering all things Flare. And the Flare community Twitter account here wrote the following. Have you heard buy low, sell high? It requires the investor to buy low. That means buying at a point of pessimism, buying when everyone is complaining about the price, buying when others try to convince you that you're wrong. It's tough to do, which is why most fail at it. What makes it so tough is that many people are emotionally charged when investing. Instead, look at fundamentals. What is being built? Is there a strong community? Is there activity on the network? The answers to these questions help bring clarity. Now, I think that is spot on perspective. I agree with 100% of that, and it's the same type of stuff that I've been saying the whole time I've been running this damn Moon Family Sedan channel with a silly-ass name. But, one of the reasons I wanted to highlight this particular is because he said something that I don't see many people say. I've said it from time to time, but almost nobody points it out. When you're talking about the long-term viability of a cryptocurrency, is there a strong community? And so this is something that is actually really different. If you compare, the dot-com boom and bust, which I think is fair to do, to what's been happening with crypto. One notable difference, a couple. Obviously, there's been a bubble that keeps inflating and then popping and then reinflating and then popping in crypto. but you only got with the or the .com rather, boom and bust. There's one gigantic bubble. I can't remember the peak was, maybe it was like $6 trillion or something like that. And then it popped and that was it. The exuberance was gone. But one thing that's different compared to the .com boom and bust, and this is actually important, is that there weren't communities surrounding the stocks back then. It's a whole different world. Like, is there a community? That's an actual factor to consider. It's one of the reasons that a lot of coins, even if they're not that useful, it's one thing that can still prop them up. It's why all of the things he cited here that are worth looking at, I agree with. And so even if some of them are not quite as robust when it comes to utility, maybe they still do go to zero at some point. But what I'm saying is, if there's a community around them, it's hard for them to go to zero. That's why we have over 20,000 cryptocurrencies. It's just an interesting dynamic here. But as far as the buy low, sell high stuff, it sounds easy until you're putting your money into something, and then after you put your hard-earned money into that thing, then it's worth less the next day, and then if you put more into it, then it's worth less the next. People have a real hard time with that. But that's why it's good to do your own research and are there reasonable fundamentals here? And that's why what Attorney Deaton's getting at, and he's absolutely spot on. So check this out. Piece continues. With that in mind, he proposed that XRP could potentially reach an all-time high, surpassing its previous mark of $3.85. However, Deaton clarified that he does not believe XRP will reach triple-digit values, but rather fall within the $2 to $10 range. Okay, so this makes sense to me. Now, as far as the triple-digit stuff, I don't blame him one bit for saying that, because I don't think it's going to happen. I think there's about a 0% chance it's going to happen, pretty close to it in the near term. But if you're talking over the long haul, which I don't think is what he was talking about, if you're talking over the long haul, like what if you're talking about a decade or two or three, who knows what it would take. If XRP is going to be around, the idea of XRP being three figures, triple digit, that doesn't sound wacky in the least. In fact, if you're talking really long term, if XRP is still here, it would be weird to me if it doesn't get some wacky high price, multi-trillion-dollar market cap. It would be weird if that didn't happen, if it's still going to exist decades from now. Because the crypto asset class by then, my supposition anyway, is that it's going to be way, way bigger. So as far as why I started out the video by noting, maybe I'm not thinking big enough. Let me expand upon that, because I think what Deaton's saying here is right, and then I recognize, okay, it's not just me that's starting to think this way here. And maybe he's thought about that way for a long time, but while admitting that even if we get the positive ruling we all are hoping and it's going to come and think is probably going to come, because I think most of us feel that way, regarding the SEC v. Ripple case, which would presumably propel the price of XRP, I've been just as curious and interested in this topic as you for the entirety of the SEC v. Ripple case. And what I haven't ever said on the channel before is that if I had, since I don't know which way it's going to go, if I had to flip a coin, is it going to break new all-time high, or is it not going to break new all-time high? If I were forced to make a decision up until this point, I would have just, of course, it's just a for fun guess, but I would have said, for this burst, just from this news, probably not a new all-time high, but I would have thought it would be weird if we didn't see at least $2 XRP. Who knows? Maybe I get surprised and we don't see $2 XRP even with good news. But I was thinking, how do we not at least see that, or $3 or something? I would hope, anyway, even if it's not a new all-time high. And by the way, part of the reason that I was supposing it might be less probable to see a new all-time high, even with good news, is because there's never been an instance where XRP's been on a run, hitting a new all-time high without the help of Bitcoin. Ever. So understanding that's the case, that's why for most of the time I've been there, and I'm not saying I'm completely sold one way or another. I'm honestly not. And that's why I'd love to hear you guys' perspective in the comment section below here. But what I have been thinking, and a lot of what I was covering in one particular video yesterday, we were talking about price and stuff. Yesterday, I was covering the insane level of interest in XRP. Like, XRP is the focal point of crypto. It is the #1 most paid attention to crypto on the planet when you're talking in social terms, which is tracked. I mean, above Bitcoin even. In fact, it's the second most crypto-related term that's I think it was Google search. I have to go back and look at the content I put together yesterday, but I think that's what it was, and it was decentralized exchange. But XRP is the #1 most looked at crypto right now. And can you blame people? And that's why it was, I can't remember the exact number, but out of all the traffic on Webernuts, for XRP, it was close to almost 7% of all internet social activity. It's going to XRP specifically. There's over 20,000 coins and almost 7% going to XRP. And so I just look at all this activity. I look at the highs that we've been seeing In terms of account activity, we had an actual all-time high in March of this year. And then we had the second and third place version of that very recently, as I reported. Back-to-back days in a row here. And you're talking about just hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people in a single day in those instances, transacting on the XRP ledger. And it's clear that if you look at the positive news coming out in the SEC v. Ripple case, when we've gotten some bigger news points on that, markets are responding. And it's not because of Ripple, it's because of the case, which the SEC brought, so you could blame the SEC. But when we got good news regarding the expert depositions, or expert testimonies that Judge Torres ruled in at the beginning part of March, that was really good for Ripple, not so good for the SEC. And markets responded to that, thinking, okay, yeah. So people are placing their bets now. And if placing bets got us from whatever we were at, 30-something cents earlier in this year, all the way up to ultimately 58 cents, and now we're hovering around 52, 53 cents at the time that I'm recording this. And this is without the big burst. If we already saw that kind of movement and people placing their bets, what's going to happen when all the other people sitting on the sidelines, also aware of what's going on, you know what they're going to do, right? Because you know how humans behave, right? If this thing starts going, people FOMO in. So the question is, how high is this going to go? Well, up to this point, for most of what I've been thinking for the last couple of years roughly, when I've been thinking about this, is okay. If we get good news, I don't know. I'd love to see a new all-time high. I would. XRP is my largest crypto holding, my favorite cryptocurrency. But I always try and be real about this stuff. And so I was thinking, if I had to bet, I'd say no. But now I'm wondering if that's right. I'm honestly wondering if that's right. And I this is why I'm so on the fence on this, though. It's because, yes, the more I see the amount of attention getting paid to XRP, yes, that's compelling. It truly is. But there's this strong point I mentioned a few minutes ago that I have trouble getting over, which is that XRP's never run like that without the help of Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's not exactly running right this second. So if we get, and maybe it will start running a bit to some degree before this happens, and okay, maybe then. But if we're really talking about XRP just going by itself, I don't know. I'm just saying I'm leaning more in that direction because I was previously leaning towards, probably not a new all-time high specifically from this, but we would get one once markets start going, and then we wouldn't have this artificially suppressed price. So I'm optimistic for a new all-time high at some unknown point in the future, regardless. Like that doesn't change for me. I still firmly believe it's going to happen. I believe we're going to enter price discovery. It's just a question of, would this be the catalyst? And so I still have a certain amount of skepticism, but it does make me question, maybe I'm not thinking big enough. What if this range that Attorney Deaton's talking about is much more reasonable? And maybe it is $2 to $10. I know it's a big range, but it doesn't sound wacky. Like if we get positive news and XRP actually runs to $10, I won't think that's weird. I won't be caught off guard. I just don't know what's going to happen. That's my point. And that's why I'm kind of curious, and I'm very open to being persuaded. If you've got some additional facts or on-chain metrics to consider, historical activity that maybe I've not thought of, let me know. I always think it's a fun topic of conversation, especially that we're really down to the wire now. And especially with, again, that's the reason I want to talk about this again today, though. With all of this additional information coming out in terms of all of the on-chain metrics that are being tracked here, it's just, this is outside of the norm, folks. This absolutely is not normal. And you've seen a major ramp up this year in terms of new XRP accounts. On top of all this, there's just, pick a metric, it's looking fantastic. XRP Ledger just keeps on chugging along. It's truly impressive. There's so many people 2.5 years ago were predicting that before the year was out, 2021. They were predicting this I guess some may have said it in 2020 at the end. They're predicting that by the end of 2021, XRP would be out of the top 10. There were people, top 10 cryptos by market cap, and there were people that were predicting XRP was going to go to zero. Well, they were disastrously wrong. Like those predictions aged like a fine milk, didn't they? They aged like a fine milk. So I never bought that. I never bought into that crap. It was a bit more intimidating right after the suit hit when we didn't really have an understanding of what that could potentially mean. But after John Deaton jumped in and other attorneys also thankfully sharing their perspective, things started to get a little bit more clear and, pretty quickly. And then we started to realize just how completely off base the SEC is. And so that helped. The part that was scary, it was just the lack of knowledge, because the vast majority of you out there listening are like me. You're not attorneys. Some of you are, but most of us not. So that was the tough part. But I'll tell you what I was never going to do after that scary news dropped and the SEC's going after Ripple and the price of XRP started plummeting. The one thing I was never going to do was sell. Because I was like, I am not going to, sell out of fear. I have a lack of knowledge and I'm going to make an important financial decision. No. I said, I'm going to ride this thing. We're going to see what happens. And if it never rebounds, then fine. But I didn't think that would have been the case because I also understood that XRP's global and there's other developers. So that also brought some peace of mind. All that to say, look, XRP price has been suppressed. It should have hit a new all-time high, I believe, in 2021 when Bitcoin was ramping up like crazy. It's the only top 10 crypto that didn't, I believe, firmly because of the SEC, but we gonna get ours. Fine, we had to wait all this extra time, but no one deserves this price action, which is going to come, I believe anyway. No one believes that deserves that more, rather, than the XRP community. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.